Financial Survival Network, helping you survive and thrive in the new economy. For a free financial survival toolkit and newsletter, sign up at KerryLutz.com, KerryLutz.com.
1490 WGCH. This is Kerry Lutz. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm here live at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. With me is Greg McCoach of Amerigold.com. We're talking about junior miners. What do you think the state of the junior mining industry is now, Greg?
Well, we've had a tough year here. We started off 2011 fairly good shape. People were making some money, went into the summer doldrums and never recovered, and then ended up in a nasty tax loss selling season at the end of 2011. So it's been a tough road. Frightens investors, retail investors, get frightened by that. They're slow to come back. But as I've said to other people, look, there's no way this market is over. The gold and silver markets have been in a secular bull market now for 12 years, going into the 12th year. Each year we've hit a new high in gold, only to retrace back 10, 20% after the new high, and then we run up to the next new high each and every year. So I'm expecting a big run this next quarter. I think we're going to see a big run in the precious metals again. That will bring back investors because a lot of these junior mining stocks are trading at such ridiculously low levels, some trading below cash value. So that will attract smart investors at some point, and if you're smart enough to be the contrarian investor, now's the time to buy.
Yeah, and I'm kind of watching the gold chart and the silver chart, and I'm getting a feeling like it's ready to do something. It just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like that. I think we had to first wait till the tax loss selling season was over with the miners, but the physical metals are at levels now where the mining companies are making money, but the mining stocks aren't following right now. So it's probably going to have to take, the precious metal prices are going to have to take us to another level. And I think this time around, you could see $2,200, $2,400 in gold this next run up. You could see $60, $70 in silver an ounce. That is going to be serious money to anybody who's in production or near-term production, and that will bring the retail crowd will suddenly come rushing in. And oftentimes, as it is with this junior mining sector, it's like a light switch. We're off right now, all of a sudden, on, here we go.
The herd piles in. And I know that it's poised because one of the things I do is I'm working out at the gym and I'm on the treadmill and I'm watching CNBC with no sound, which is really the only way to watch CNBC. Otherwise, it's too aggravating.
Yeah.
And, when gold and silver were taken off, they were constantly flashing them. Now, the price, you see it once every couple of minutes, and it's there for a nanosecond, and then it's gone. There's no highlight there. That, to me, as a contrarian, it's just like hits on Kitco. It tells me that we're poised for some kind of major upside, whether it's a black swan or whether it's just a realization that hits everybody at once that currencies are going down the crapper. I don't know, but it just seems to me like that's what we're getting ready for.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're poised to make the next run, and is it going to start next week? We have a Fed funds meeting. I think they're coming out with some data, an announcement on Wednesday. I think a lot of the analysts are split half and half about how this is going to affect metal prices, but I'm in the bullish camp at this point. I do believe that we're going to see the ramp up. The ramp up has already started, and I think the ramp up is going to start gaining more and more momentum and taking us to the next new high, which will clearly be over $2,000 for gold.
Yeah, and one of the things I've been watching is dividends in these mining stocks, which is, it's starting to catch on a little bit, but that would certainly drive them in a major way because it'd whack out the short sellers because they would have to pay the dividends. And, there's other resource companies paying big dividends. What do you think the trend for that is?
I think producers with higher gold and silver prices, yes, are going to be attractive to a lot of people like that. Why keep the money in the bank? You're not making any real interest in the bank, right? You have high risk in the bank right now, as we're seeing from the MF Global situation, which should be a big alarm to anybody in the major banks like Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase. What we found out from this MF Global situation is that your cash in your account is no longer safe. The 2005 Financial Reform Act basically says that in the bankruptcy, you're number 2 in line as a cash depositor. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's right. You're the counterparty has priority over the owner in a bankruptcy, and even when the counterparty in MF Global stole the money from, or I should say, MF Global stole the money from the account holders and pledged it to the counterparty's got priority. This is just legalized theft, right?
Absolutely. It's disgusting, and what people don't realize is that the banks, that law protects the banks in the same way. We know these banks are caught in huge derivative liability, so I can't imagine your question, going back to your question about, mining companies paying a nice dividend. That's going to be attractive to a whole new group of investors, right? And why, if they're suddenly realizing, just like in Europe, we're seeing a lot of people take money out of the banks, right? That hasn't hit in the United States yet. It will. It will. And I think mining stocks will be a beneficiary to producers for the dividends and the junior miners for the big upside exploration success.
Yeah, interesting. That whole hypothecation thing, was the new word, the new $64 word for a week, and now everyone's forgotten about it. Everything's back to normal until the next shoe drops, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later in all likelihood, and then we're back to gold and silver, and who owns your gold and silver, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The problems in Europe are not fixable. The politicians are just jawboning, right? They're trying to kick the can down the road. Somebody was saying that, well, Greg, the strength of the dollar is getting a lot of strength because the euro's weak. Well, that's ridiculous. That's to say that the dollar's strong, right? It's a default currency because the euro's weak. No, I mean, what we need to understand is that the United States is worse off than Europe in many ways, right? It's just that Europe had to deal with their problems first, and as soon as we find out what the bottom line is there, then America's going to have to deal with it. Now, America has still the safety net of being the world's reserve currency, but how much longer when you see the politicians just with reckless abandon just pumping money into the system? Here's Obama wanting to ask for another $1.2 trillion debt ceiling raise. This was just after the one in the fall, right? This is just getting absurd. So ultimately, I think gold and silver prices are going up as sure as death and taxes. I can't tell you the exact timing on it, but you buy the dips in these junior mining stocks, the precious metal junior mining stocks, the physical precious metals. You buy these dips. When it runs up to the next new high, sell some. Take some money off the table. Pay down debt. Pay yourself back for your investment. And keep doing the same thing over and over again until finally this whole thing's going to blow up, which we know is coming.
Yeah. No question. And what's interesting is we're starting to see the Ron Paul effect on the election. They minimized him. They marginalized him. He's a loon. He's crazy, blah, blah, blah. Newt Gingrich, I don't know if you caught it last week, had a conference with some foreign policy geek think tank, and he said, we got to go back on the gold standard. We got to set up a conference. If I'm president, we're going to do it. This is Ron Paul coming back to haunt, right?
Right, yeah, no, it's funny to watch Ron Paul. It's a shame that America's not ready to elect him yet, but more and more people are finding out about him, and I'm so apolitical. I just despise the two-party system of Republicans and Democrats. I see Ron Paul as the only guy that is actually standing up for the American people, but the people don't see that right now. So, it is what it is. The media, which is owned by the elitists, don't give him the time of day because his message, it cuts the knees off the elitists, right?
Yeah, that's really it. And hey, we thank you for being here with us at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, and we'll look forward to having you on again soon.
Thanks for your time, Kerry.